Enjoy local voices. Enjoy local opinions. All on one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts, featuring some of the DC area's best personalities, pundits, and provocateurs. Earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts you love instantly. With new programs being added every week, don't hesitate. Download Podcast DC now for free. Available in the App Store or in Google Play. Podcast DC. Listen local.
Black woman. Beautiful, powerful, resilient female of African descent with skin kissed by the sun. Conversation. A talk, especially an informal one, between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged. We love being Black women. Black women are ambitious. Black women are confident. Black women are diligent. We are tenacious. We walk out of our houses put together. We are many shades and personalities of fabulous. But we as Black women don't talk about our dilemmas, current events, and what's going on every day that affects us. So we created this podcast as a way to laugh together, cry together, and have an open conversation about life as Black women.
Oh, that's deep. Black Women Conversations.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Janine.
How's your week been?
So the week has been good. This weekend, well, it's funny because usually when I'm on call, I'm like, oh, girl, I've been on call. I've been running up and down and slaving all around, right? But
Absolutely.
This week, I was on call. Yes, I did, get in a little trouble about late charts and all. But this weekend was a really good weekend. This was the 4th of July or July 10th weekend.
Hello.
And we just sort of chilled and vegged out. And my sister and her boyfriend came over, and me, James, and my mom and Harrison it was just good. Mm-hmm. All weekend was sort of kind of chill. I got charting done early. I got rounding done early. And the rest of the day, I chilled. Friday, not Friday, I lie. I went to work on Friday, but I got home at a decent time because I went and rounded at 6:30 a.m. And so I was home by 1:30 Friday. Oh, no, Friday.
I wish. This past week was so busy, Nicole. I think we talked twice the entire week.
I don't know, because I know I sent you a text like you must be busy because you ain't returned none of my calls.
Girl.
At all.
And then somewhere in between there, they threw in a tornado randomly. It was, and I shouldn't say they, there was a tornado. That sounds bad to say they threw in a tornado because that's not how it happened. But you know what I mean. It was just
so
a
you
lot.
guys had a tornado?
Oh, yeah. A tornado touched down. I don't want to say several tornadoes touched down. What day was that? Wednesday or Thursday? It was one of those days.
We had awful weather on Tuesday and Wednesday here. We did, but we didn't have any tornadoes.
Girl, people were posting pictures where you could literally see the funnel cloud. It was crazy. To the point where you couldn't even watch a television show because every couple of minutes it was the emergency alert coming on. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. But yesterday,
I'm glad that you guys are safe, though.
Thank God. And yesterday I got to hang out with my Aunt Beverly, and, she's my dad's sister. And yesterday she was like, oh, we're having people over. But in good old Aunt Beverly fashion, she was like, only the people that are vaccinated. So it was a cute little family get together with just vaccinated people.
That's good.
We had some good old Maryland crabs, which I have been dying for.
So basically, I need to come down there in about 2-3 weeks.
Absolutely.
So I can get me some. I got you.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Janine. So what's on your timeline this week?
Okay, so there was so much on our timeline. Let's be honest. There was Olympic stuff. Auntie Tab read Wendy.
Is she? She wrote a book, girl, and then quoted the Bible.
Hello. And was like, and God bless you.
Oh, she read her. She did.
She did. Okay, but unfortunately, the thing that bombarded and dominated our timeline was the Bill Cosby decision. So it went from Bill Cosby to the backlash of Felicia Rashad. But here's what the bottom line is. As we all know, this past week, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Cosby's 2019 felony conviction for aggravated indecent assault, and he was released from prison. I'm going to say this. My intention is to be completely objective and to not give my opinion at all about Cosby's innocence or guilt, but rather strictly discuss the facts of the case based on the information that I've read. I just feel like the facts are what's most important. Let me start this off with Cosby's initial criminal accusation. A former Temple University employee accused Cosby of drugging her and sexually assaulting her at his home. She said that Cosby gave her pills and sexually assaulted her. There were 2 trials. The first trial was back in 2017, resulting in a hung jury. In the second trial, Bill Cosby was convicted of all 3 counts of felony indecent assault and was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. So follow me here. I'm going to attempt to explain to you why he was just released after the 2 years that he served and just 1 month after he was denied parole for refusing to attend sexual offender workshops in prison. So in order for me to explain this, I kind of have to walk you back through what happened. So before the 2019 conviction, there was the initial accusation. Back in 2005, shortly after the alleged incident took place, the district attorney, Bruce Castor, launched an investigation into Cosby after the alleged victim contacted the authorities. Due to inconsistency in the alleged victim's story, the fact that the victim had already contacted a civil attorney, and lack of forensic evidence, basically, Castor decided not to criminally prosecute Cosby. He made an announcement and said that he was not going to prosecute for the purposes of removing the threat of criminal prosecution and therefore not allowing Cosby to invoke his Fifth Amendment privileges during the already existing civil trial. Out of all 4 depositions, not at one point did he invoke his Fifth Amendment right. And this is when, in those depositions, is when what people are referring to him as, quote unquote, admitting it. What he admitted to was giving women quaaludes with the intention of having sex, though he did not admit to doing so with this particular alleged victim. And he also did not admit to doing so without their consent. So the civil case ended up being settled for $3.38 million. And in 2015, that civil case was unsealed by a federal judge, and Castor's successor, Risa Furman, reopened the criminal investigation even after being reminded of the original agreement by Castor. Because the agreement was made in a press release / press conference, Furman said because it wasn't in writing, she was going to proceed with criminal filings. Cosby's lawyers argued that he was unlawfully tried in the criminal courts based on the prior agreement, and the Supreme Court overturned his conviction based on the aforementioned non-prosecution agreement. This means that not only is Cosby now a free man, but he also no longer has to file as a sex offender. While this does not imply that Cosby is innocent, he is not able to be retried for this crime in the future.
I say sloppy work on the DA. You know, all of this, and I'm not saying whether he's innocent or guilty or what have you, but the fact is that they took evidence that they knew should not have been used. And instead of them trying to get that evidence in some other way or get that statement in some other way, they did something that they weren't supposed to do. They were not supposed to use that information for the trial, period. So it's very sloppy. I hate that we won't ever know. Like, they did not bring enough facts to this case and do a good enough job evaluating the facts because they had this other information that they were leaning on too hard. Shame on them. You know, this is not doing, it doesn't do anything to clear Bill's name, and it doesn't do anything to prove that he's guilty either. I just think that this is sloppy work.
I agree. Sloppy. To be very honest with you, after delving into this case as much as I possibly could, I was left with more questions than I was with answers. Questions
that they should have answered or had answered during the case that they failed to answer. So it's just bad on the DA, and they should have gotten the facts straight. But we do have a very special guest, and we're excited. We are so excited about this guest, y'all, because we're fans. We are fans.
Hardcore.
To help us discuss this topic further, we have a very special guest with us, and that is Mr. Carl Payne. Carl Anthony Payne II is an iconic American actor, director, and producer. He is best known for his role as Cole on Martin and Walter Cockroach Bradley on The Cosby Show. Currently, he plays Miles Wilson on Tyler Perry's Young Dylan. He is also the host of the Black Arm of the Law podcast on our podcast network. So he's part of our podcast family. Carl, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's deep.
Carl, have you done any interviews since the news about Bill Cosby being released?
No, not at all. So, this will be the first time anyone hears me say anything about it.
So why don't you tell us how you feel about it?
I feel like people ask me all the time, do I think he did it, this, that, and the other? If we're just talking about, obviously, the facts of the case or what happened with the case in terms of the way the case was handled, then I think that's what was supposed to happen. Because it could have been any case, right?
That's true.
Correct.
It didn't have to be this case. It could have been any other case. And so at the end of the day, if this was about anybody and anything else, the same thing could have happened where there would have been a miscarriage of justice in terms of the fact that there was a deal in place. And you can ask most attorneys as well that for that deal to be in place, both sides would have had to sign off on that. So what that means is the main accuser, if not other accusers, would have known of this deal and was okay with that. So in terms of that, I think this was supposed to happen because it was never supposed to get this far.
So what do you think about all the backlash Felicia Rashad is getting right now from her comment?
I think that she knew, she's been around for a minute, so she obviously knew what would come with this type of support.
Have you talked to or reached out to anybody that was on the show with you previously? Since he's gotten out,
no,
do y'all communicate like that?
No.
Okay.
No, there was no need for that. Me and Malcolm, we've stayed in touch over the years. We check on each other. You know what I'm saying? We run into each other occasionally, but we're not close like that. So there was, I think people always ask because of the association, because the show was such a huge hit, such a huge success. As they say, he was, America's favorite dad. Anybody that was associated with the show, I'm pretty sure they get asked questions all the time.
We grew up on The Cosby Show. Oh my God. I know that Johnny and I were both extremely shocked at all, everything that's happened, but we want to consider y'all as family.
Right.
We forget that we don't really know y'all, but we think we do. We think you're Cockroach. We think you're Cole. Right. So,
Well, I'm glad that I'm not Cole.
I'm glad that you're not broke either.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not.
But Carl, I have a question. You were 16 at the time when you first started dealing with him. So you have said that you weren't aware of any of the things that people are accusing him of. The question that I have is, do you think that it was because of your age, or do you think that it's just he had one, persona when it came to work and he has a different persona?
I think so here's the thing. We all have that. We all have a work persona as well as a personal persona. People play characters all the time. It's a general consensus that you have to be aware of or look at. So it's like when people deal with you outside of work or those closest to you or whatever. So, it's kind of I want to say when Tommy, rest in peace, Tommy Ford passed away. Everybody, the majority of people, whether they worked with him or just knew him personally, said the same thing about him. That to me speaks volumes, right?
Absolutely.
That would say that this is the person that he was in general with everybody. That's his character, right? That speaks for himself, right? Mm-hmm. So with regards to your question, no, I don't think it was because I was 16. I don't think it was because of anything other, any of those things. I think that everybody has different personas or personalities. I didn't know him personally, in terms of, we didn't hang out. I wasn't at his house. I just saw him at work. Okay. And the person that I saw and that I knew was X, Y, and Z. Now, I think at the end of the day, too, there's people that I've worked with that I didn't get along with or I didn't like personally, because of whatever may happen with us personally. But that doesn't mean that they're a bank robber. I can only speak to what I know. I can't speculate or wouldn't begin to speculate or comment on something that I have no idea about.
That's real.
I mean, and people want me to. They people want you to say something and give them. And I'm like, what do you want me to say? I can't say anything about something I don't know about.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of a-holes in this business. There's a lot of
absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people with A-type personalities,
and it helps them succeed at times.
Of course, but it just again, just because you're one thing doesn't make you something else. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know all the facts of this particular case. I only know what we know, what most people may know. We don't know. We don't have all the information. We weren't there. We can talk for years and years about whatever. I mean, this goes back to the OJ trial. Like, yo, we don't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
We only know. So at the end of the day, God knows. Like, that's it. Look, again, I would never speak. It doesn't matter if it was this situation or any other situation. I can't speak on anything that I don't know about.
Absolutely.
Period.
That's true.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that it's been so polarizing for, I'm going to say Black people, to be very honest with you, that people have drawn these hard lines in the sand of, he's innocent, he's guilty. Unless you were involved, you have no idea whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, that's true, Johnny. But, I understand why that happens. Like, people think we know you. People think because they've grown up watching the Cosby Show, they think that they know this family. And so it's hard to believe that Cliff Huxtable would be doing something like that. So I can understand how people,
I can understand it too. I mean, people fall in love with these images of who they think we are, and this, that, and the other on television, or just in general. Even, when you see interviews of people and their personas and personalities, I understand. I get that. Now, even if someone was to come up to me and tell me their experience with this person or their, run-in or whatever, if it's not the same as mine, then
that's their truth. Yeah.
Right. So why would I'm just going to automatically believe? I mean, obviously I get that too. That's a sticky situation. If I know this person to be a credible person and I know this person to be a truthful person, okay, and they come to me and they say, hey, let's move it. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? And your friend, this is your best friend. This is your longtime friend. This is somebody who you trust and you've been through the trenches with. And this is a person who you believe to be that's got your best interest. If they come to you and they tell you something about your mate or the other person, what are you going to do? Because part of you doesn't want to believe it, right?
Right.
That's true.
But the other part of you has to go, well, what does this person have to gain? And that's when you got, that's a sticky situation to be in, right? Because then you're like, yo, what does this person have to gain by telling me this? So there's a lot of things that can happen. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, you believed this person to be credible. You believed this person to be your best friend. You believed all of that.
But you also believe your mate to be credible too. Yeah, it's a bad situation to be in.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to get in that situation. I have to ask, what is your favorite Cosby Show? What's your favorite episode?
That I did.
And why? And that you did. Of course that you did.
Every single one of them, because it was an experience that I'll never forget. It was my introduction to the world, in terms of being a part of a production that changed the game, that changed lives, that made history. That it was something special. It was definitely something special. The fact that African Americans, Blacks, people of color, the rate that they wanted to go to college, that ratio changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything changed.
Yeah.
In terms of that, it inspired and spawned so many wonderful, great things. And to have been a part of that was a blessing. Absolutely. It was an absolute blessing.
Because y'all look like y'all were having fun. Like, I felt like...
Listen to me. I was a hood superstar. You kidding me? You kidding me, man? You couldn't... What?
You weren't just a superstar in the hood, though. Let me tell you.
You were a superstar everywhere.
Absolutely.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That was the most amazing thing, right? Because, we knew that there were Black doctors and lawyers and different things. I mean, I have friends in DC that grew up like that, but the world didn't know. They acted like that was unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So just what he did for the culture, just what he did for the imagery of us as a people and the movement, moving everything forward in terms of our positive images on television, opening those kind of doors. Again, you can't take away the legacy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
These different things. Every time I was able to be a part of that, that was my favorite time being there, of course.
Yeah.
There's no one that stands out more than the other.
Well, I can tell you, I like the episode with Dance Mania. That was a good episode.
Definitely. But I look at the clothes back then. I was like, what did I have on?
Don't do that. Because they're bringing it right back out right now.
Right.
All those clothes that you all were wearing.
I should have kept all of that. Right.
So tell us what you have going on and tell us who you have coming up on your podcast.
Let's see. I've been having a wonderful time directing and producing and starring in, Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, which is on Nickelodeon. That's
huge.
Great. That's huge. It's opening up so many doors. I mean, it's amazing, and I've been doing stuff for a minute. And so this is just kind of a natural maturation of these things. I'm getting back out on the road doing stand-ups. So I'm pretty sure you'll hear about me coming to a city near you again soon.
All right.
Absolutely.
I think my next show is in Philly.
Okay.
On the 25th. Yeah, I'm in Philly on the 25th. Yeah, it's a little scary getting back out there now that the world is kind of opening back up, so to speak. There's a lot of people still, it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that you've never really paid attention to before. You kind of just moving so fast. I mean, I did because I was a little bit of a germaphobe before. Anyway, no, my friends will tell you, like, you couldn't even clear your throat around me. Pre-COVID, I'd be like, you good? You good? Like, if I met you for the first time and you was like, I'd be like, I don't mess around with throat clearers. I don't mess around with, when you sound like you're trying to start the car. So now you got a limit. You got even less of a limit. You got like a 1 cough, 2 throat clear limit with me. So getting back out there is a little scary doing that, but I'm looking forward to it. That was a lot of fun. And my podcast is, the Black Arm of the Law. Hopefully we are doing wonderful things with trying to bridge the gap between law enforcement and Black and brown community, because we see a lot of those. I mean, clearly we haven't made as much progress as we think we've made at all. And so even when if we were to go back to the first question you asked me about what my thoughts are, what my feelings are on this, the thing is this, and like I said, no disrespect to anybody who's ever suffered anything in terms of sexual abuse or abuse in any way, just in terms of the law and in terms of justice with regards to the law.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it go the other way so many times. And here's a clear example of where they tried to do it again in terms of,
Yeah.
And again, because it didn't have to be this case. This is what I keep trying to say. It didn't have to be this case. It could have been any other case, and they would have handled it the same way. They don't care about the truth. The system is not set up for that, and they don't care about the truth at all. It's not even, and when the system was built, we were never part of it. We were never even thought about it with regards to it. When I tell you I've seen things happen with, travesties of justice, as well as I've seen other amazing outcomes in the favor of, but it's based on relationships too. Not even based on evidence or facts. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So hopefully people will understand that I'm not trying to offend or defend anybody. I'm strictly talking about our justice system and the law in that aspect.
Absolutely. And we're doing the exact same thing.
There's a lot of times, and I don't like doing, which is why I don't do a lot of interviews, is because everybody wants these crazy sound bites and everybody wants to suck your soul.
We completely get that.
Yeah.
Right. And so at the end of the day, I'm speaking my truth. And I'm okay with that. But I just don't want to be misinterpreted or misunderstood.
Absolutely.
We agree.
So respectfully, everything respectfully.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. All right, Janine. So let's talk through some scenarios from our listeners. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first letter says, Nicole and Janine, I'm torn because I don't know what to believe. My husband is being accused of domestically abusing another woman. Let me explain. I've been married to this man for 16 years. He's never laid a hand on me. And to my knowledge, he's never cheated. A few months ago, my husband, who is a physician, told me one of his medical assistants had come on to him and has been flirting with him at work. He reported her and she was switched to another physician while they're doing an investigation. Fast forward, now the girl went to the hospital with bruises on her, accusing my husband of beating her, saying that it was her lover. My husband, her lover. My husband was arrested. I bailed him out, but he has a court date coming up. My husband has been suspended from work until a thorough investigation is done. He denies cheating and denies assaulting her, but his reputation and my family's are both in ruins now. My family thinks I'm being naive by supporting my husband, saying that he is just a lie and a cheat. I don't know him to do this. Ladies, what should I do?
I'm not about telling women to blindly support their husband, right? Like, we don't want to pretend like it's not possible that the husband that you know, somebody might know a very different version of your husband. So I'm not going to say that you should blindly support your husband. But what I am going to say is you should support him based on what your experience of your husband is. And based on this letter, your experience of your husband says that this is not who he is. That's not the behavior that he exhibits around you. So you should support him based on your knowledge, right? And until you learn for sure, and you're for certain that your husband is not the person that you thought he was, you continue to support your husband. You took the vows like the rest of us married folks, saying better or worse, richer or poorer. And I'm not by any means, under any circumstances, advocating that you stay with a husband who is abusing you in any way, whether it's physically, mentally, or disrespecting you in any way. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this letter tells me that from your knowledge of your husband, this don't sound like your husband. So support him based on that. Now, if you find out something different and you wake up tomorrow and there's pictures and evidence or whatever, then we can go from there and we can go on from there. But until you have hard facts that your husband is actually someone different and doing these things that this woman is accusing him of, I say support your husband. We have to go with the facts. And I'm going to say this. My husband was accused by one of his employees of having an inappropriate relationship with another one of their coworkers. And there was an investigation. And I remember the day that my husband called me and said, hey, this is happening. I didn't know who made the accusation at the time. I didn't know anything about it. I asked my husband to give me the facts, what happened and what didn't happen. And when I got the facts and when he told me what happened and what didn't happen, what he was telling me aligned with who I knew him to be. So I told him, that's fine. Let me know how this goes. The reason why I said that, and I was so nonchalant about it, is because what he told me lined up with who I knew him to be. And a few weeks into the investigation, they realized that it was exactly what my husband was saying, right? But while I supported him, I was very well aware of the fact that there could be another shoe that dropped. And I could be faced with a situation where what my husband was acting like at work was not who I knew him to be. But I supported him until I knew otherwise. And in my situation, my husband turned out to be who I knew him to be. I would like to think that most of the time, that's what happens. Am I saying that this is your scenario? I'm hoping that it is. I'm hoping that this woman really just has a thing for your husband and now she's making up these false accusations and the truth will all come out and be in the favor of you and your husband, right? But I am also saying be mindful that there is a possibility that your husband just might not be who you think he is. We hope that he is, but just keep your eyes open, sis.
I'm going to say this. I understand supporting your husband. I understand that you want to believe him, because if you don't believe him, that means your whole relationship was a lie, right? That you were with a liar and a cheater. And nobody wants to think that they're with somebody that's living a completely double life, right? No one wants that. But you got to do your own due diligence. You cannot just believe him blindly. I completely agree with Janine in that you need to go back to your own truths of your own husband and see if what he tells you aligns with what you know him to be. completely understand. But for me, I'm going to ask a couple questions I know the answer to so that I can know if he's lying to me, right? I'm not going to, you got to do your own little mini investigation, right? So first you find out facts of that case, right? When did she say she was abused? How was she abused? How many times was she abused? Was this his first time abusing? When did he actually abuse her? What was the time frame? How long did it take her to get to the hospital? Did he stay with her and try to convince her not to tell? What was the relationship with after she switched to the other doctor? Did she see him outside of work? Did anybody else see him outside of work? I want to know some facts first, okay? And I'm going to discreetly talk to people who's worked with him. I'm going to discreetly talk to mutual friends that we have to find out a little bit more information without letting them know I'm probing, right? And then I would have a serious heart-to-heart with my husband, right? Listen, maybe you got lost, caught up in the moment at some point. Maybe you started having feelings for somebody. I'm not mad, but you got to tell me the truth. Did you ever have any relations with this woman? Let's start there. When was the last time you saw this woman outside of work? Where were you on the day she says that you beat her? Where were you? And I know that may seem to our male listeners like, why she got to question him? You know, she should just trust him. Listen, when you got the laws coming after you, when you putting your house up for collateral, for bail, you do not want to be like a fool out there, okay? There were several serial killers that had wives. And their wives were like, oh, no, not my husband. They weren't like, oh, no, my husband did this. They were like, no, not my husband. It wasn't until they started looking at things and they said, okay, well, maybe he could have done this. Okay, so you can't just blindly believe him. Okay, if you're a man, you're like, oh, I can't believe you asked, tell him the question. No, she needs facts. And he should understand why she needs facts. He should understand that she needs to hear it out of his mouth. If it's going to be something that comes out, I need to hear it first. So like my husband and I, we had that whole situation where somebody was stalking James. Come and knock on his door, girl, when we first started dating. Knock, knock. I said, who is that? I said, who is that at the door, right? And he said, this girl is crazy, right? She's crazy. And if he listens to the episode, which he listens to basically all of them, he's going to start laughing because he knows her by Crazy Girl. That's what we call her, Crazy Girl. Even to this day, I say, remember Crazy Girl? So Crazy Girl was literally stalking him. I mean, he had to go and file a complaint with the college that he's working for and file a complaint with the police because she literally was stalking. But don't no woman stalk a man like that for no reason. So I had to ask him, you know, what is going on between you and this woman? Nothing. Okay, we first started dating. Okay, fine. Has anything ever happened between you and this woman? Right?
That's an important question.
Then it started to be a very interesting conversation. And then lies of omission started coming out. And I had to say, listen, if you tell me the truth, which it shouldn't even affect us, right? This is before me. Why do you even care? But men do that kind of thing. That's like they lie about stuff that has nothing to do with your relationship because they think that it's going to shape your relationship when it doesn't. We're looking like, why is this even a big deal? So either way, I told him, if I hear the truth from you, I can move with that, right? I can hold your back. I can justify your actions. I can support you. But if you lie to me, then I don't know who you are. If you lie to me, I'm gone. I'm out. So then that's when we started trickling down the truth. Oh, yeah. Me and this girl had something casual going on. I ended it. She got mad, right? Mm-hmm. She got mad, started following him, harassing him, and doing all these things, right? So I say that to say this could be the same exact situation that our listener is in.
Absolutely.
Where you have somebody that, you know, wanted more from your husband, wanted something serious, thought that she was about to be a home girl, was going from the medical assistant to a prior wife at home, going to get rid of his wife and marry her, right? And so when he decided, you know, enough is enough, whether that is, you know, a casual date every now and then, maybe they shared a kiss, or maybe they had a sexual relationship briefly at some point, and then he called it off. You know, maybe that's the situation. And now she's trying to do everything she can to get back with him or to get his attention. Sort of like a thin line between love and hate there.
Sure does.
A real life fatal attraction. I mean, maybe that's the situation, but you got to tell your husband, listen, I need facts. Don't have me looking like a fool. Tell me the truth now and be honest. If you want to, go get her. If you don't want her and you had something with her, I need to know that first
Right.
so that I know how to move next. Okay. I know all the facts. If I find out the facts later, I'm gone. Tell me the facts now. And that is what I would do. And that's what I would tell you to do. Find out as much as you can. Ask him the questions. Ask him questions that you already know the answer to just to see if he's going to be lying to you. Now, if he lies to you, then you can't trust him. He's not going to say anything except for what he thinks you want to hear to save face.
Mm-hmm. And you have to, and I think it's really important, Nicole, a point that you said is you have to smooth it out, right? So like when Ken came to me, I already could hear the anxiety in his voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when he called me and said, here's what's happening, I could hear the anxiety in his voice. But in addition to that, I think that the part that I appreciated the most was this could have happened. The investigation could have come and gone and I could have never known, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that he picked up the phone and called me and said, hey, just letting you know this is what's going on. So the first thing that I did, and this is probably the calmest I've ever been in any situation, right? Like since we've been married, it's probably the calmest I've ever been. I thought about it for a second and I was like, I can tell my husband is anxious. Clearly this is bothering him. The one thing that I know very clearly about my husband is he does not like people to accuse him of things that he does not do, right? Like it sends him through the roof.
Right.
So I was like, let me just be calm and let him know that it's okay. Whatever it is that happened, it's fine. I'm not upset because I did not want to add that additional layer of anxiety on top of that for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of disarmed him. And then I could get the information. Like, tell me what the details are. Like you said, tell me what the facts are.
What are the facts?
And when he laid out the facts, they made perfect sense to me. And the one thing that neither one of us mentioned, but I think that we should mention is we as females, especially Black females, have this little thing that we don't rely on enough, and it's called our intuition.
Yep.
Girl,
trust your gut.
Trust your gut. If you feel like your husband is not this person, 9 times out of 10, you're right. Occasionally, our intuition fails us, but it's rare. And if you feel like, maybe I have some questions or that there's that lingering feeling that something might not be right, just make a nice, comfortable place for him to tell the truth. It'll come out. Eventually, it'll come out.
It always comes out. It always comes out. But trust your gut. You're right. Trust your intuition. And I tell my husband all the time, and my husband's an ordained minister, and I tell him, you think you tight with Jesus. Me and Jesus, we tight.
Super.
He's going to let me know what's going on with you. So if you lie to me, I'm going to find out. I'm going to know. And you're going to be like, how does she know? I said, I'm not going to have to look for nothing. I'm not going to have to look for nothing. It's going to come on my lap. So you might as well tell me now while I have your back. Because I'm not upset, but I'm going to get upset if I find out later on. It's
like you took words out of my mouth. I'm going to ask Ken to turn his mic on. Ken, how many times have I told you that exact same thing?
More than I can count.
Okay, Nicole. So I have another letter. This one is a doozy. I have edited this letter down, just FYI, because there was a lot of details. It says, hey, Janine. Hey, Nicole. And it said, let me say that I love the podcast. It's refreshing to see young women talk about hard issues while also making us laugh. We love you too.
Hey, girl.
So this listener writes, this week, however, has not brought many laughs. With the release of Bill Cosby, it sparked so many conversations, and it made me think, do we really ever know someone? I'm a Black pilot in the U.S. Army, and there aren't many of us, especially Blacks, not Black women, and especially not in aviation. So I'm proud to be here. It's like we're all family. But let me share this with you. One Monday morning, a few months ago, we were notified that the instructor pilot wouldn't be coming to work. It wasn't because he was under the weather or that he was on leave, because he had been arrested for unlawful contact with a minor. We'll call him John. You see, John had posted an online ad that said this: 50-year-old male looking for teen play. After a few message exchanges with an undercover agent posing as a 15-year-old, they met and he was arrested without incident. He is currently serving 2 to 4 years as his full sentence. I'd like to note this sentence is minimal because there was insufficient evidence that he had actually ever touched a child. I must say I'm stunned. While my opinion is unpopular with my fellow pilots, I believe that he should pay for his actions. But I'm still shocked. John is a career military man. He is in the books with the best of the best for his flight hours, both stateside and in combat. He's the brigade safety officer. He's a doting husband and father. Like I said, he's like family to me. He's just someone that made the room that he walked into just that much more pleasant. How could I be so blind? How could someone that I literally trusted my life with be capable of something so heinous?
So I feel like I need more details of the case, though, because he was convicted of this. Like, he's already went to court. He's convicted.
He is serving a prison sentence right now.
Okay, but it says 50-year-old male wanting teen play.
That was the ad that he put in the paper.
I'm just sitting here. Somebody that's that high in rank is going to put an ad out? How much lack of discretion are you going to use?
People have God complex. You know, people think that they won't get caught. But
he put an ad out? Like, really? Yeah. You would have been better out in somebody's DMs or something. How could you be so dumb is what I'm thinking. Which is why I was like, did he really do it? Because it would take somebody very dumb to put like I'm thinking like a Craigslist killer, right? Like, you just put a Craigslist. Who does that, you know?
Well, also, who gets caught in sting operations, though? Like, sting operations have been going on since we were kids. And every single time I'm like, you all are so stupid. You are still falling for this.
Yeah, I would be more in disbelief. I'd be disappointed that he even went that way and posted an ad and was not discreet about his stuff. But either way, she has to stand on her truth, right? If she feels passionately about her beliefs and she is convinced that this man was really intending to have some type of inappropriate relationship with a teenage girl, then, you know, she's entitled to her own opinion. Mm-hmm. So she can say whatever she wants to say. I don't ever agree with somebody changing their opinion or silencing themselves just to make other people feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, they should be able to stand in their truth, just like she's able to stand in hers, and they should be able to coexist civilly. You know, that's a problem we have now, like with the whole political atmosphere. You have people that can't even bring up politics in the room at all because it's going to cause some unbeknownst backlash later on. Like, it shouldn't be like that. We should be able to talk about politics casually and agree to disagree and move on. But unfortunately, it's not like that. Now, I would say if somebody asks you your opinion, you state your opinion. But for me, hopefully people aren't just keeping up charades and talking about this at work. I would be more focused on, I got to get my work done. I don't have time to talk about this man.
Right, especially as a pilot. Like, I need y'all to focus.
Right. I need to go to sleep when I'm off, and I need to be with my family. And when we're in this cockpit, I don't want to hear nothing about it.
I agree. But I think that the military adds a different element to it. And I think that's because you and I both come from military families, right? So we know that those people that are in the military, they form a bond that is, I would, venture to say, is as strong as a familial bond, right? Because if not stronger, because you literally could be putting your life in this person's hands. Like, literally your life could depend on their decisions. So I understand the stun and the shock that she talks about in this letter.
I still feel like if somebody asks her opinion, she can politely, I don't think she should get in an argument with somebody about it.
Oh, I
but
agree.
She can say, hey, we weren't there. Mm-hmm. We don't know what happened. And the facts are, the thing that has come out as fact is that he did something inappropriate. We know that he posted an ad he shouldn't have posted, and he's serving time. Do I think that he deserves time? Yeah. If for nothing else than posting the ad.
Right. And it's like, again, and this goes back to, we don't really know what's going on, right? The only thing that we know is what he was charged for. He pled guilty. So that's all we know. And this is one of the difficult things about justice. Justice does not look like what we feel it should look like. Mm-mm. Justice looks like the confines of our legal system. That just is what it is. And in this particular case, it's sad that, this person that you said brightened up the rooms when he walked in. It's just, it's sad. But it also speaks to the fact that You can literally be one thing to one group of people and something completely different to another group of people. And they can both be 100% accurate.
Yeah. And like Carl said earlier, I mean, you have your work face, you have your work personality, and then you have who you really are at home. And we've all done that, even in different environments at work. We make code switch with the Black employees. And then when you get by the Caucasian ones, you are a whole different person. I mean, that happens all the time. At home, when I go to sorority meeting, I'm a little different than I am at home with my sister. Right. So different people know me in different facets of my life. And that's okay. All of those people are me. All of those people are me. And just like your hero of a pilot, those two people are him too. How he is at work versus how he is at home is him. It's just that there's this other life he had at home that maybe this was the first time he'd ever done that. Who knows? But he played guilty. He told on himself. So I would leave it at that. I would try not to make it much of a conversation. I don't think that you should be silenced, but you should not be the person bringing up the topic. I mean, he is serving his time, and who are we to judge him? No one should be. So let him serve his time. You do the things that you need to do to concentrate on your work so that you can have upward mobility in promotion.
Yes, I agree 100%. I would tell our listener, look, we get it, that you're stunned and shocked, and that does not erase your reality of him, right? Like that does not erase how you feel about him. But now you are just aware that there's another side to him that you weren't familiar with. And you don't have to accept that other side of him, right? That's not something that you have to do. But you don't have to defend your opinion. I would say, girl, if you feel like and he was convicted like, then he probably is like, and you don't have to defend that. That's just what it is.
And let me say this before we move on to what we learned new. Next week, it'll be a different story. You wait long enough, there's going to be a different topic of discussion. This is the hot topic right now.
Absolutely.
You only have to withstand this temporarily. This may be the talk, maybe a week, maybe two. I doubt two, but maybe, and then you'll be on to something else. All right, Janine, what did you learn new this week?
So I would not like to have learned this, but I did. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was considered the co-conspirator with Jeffrey Epstein, her lawyer has already cited the Cosby case in a bid to get the trafficking charges against her dropped. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know it was going to be this quick.
All right. So I learned that according to research, 70% of all men and 50% of all women have had an adulterous event at some point in their life. This implies that the vast majority of people will live a double life at some point in their lives. So, listener, you trying to not believe it, you better tell him to tell you the truth so that you know what's a truth and what's a lie. And let's not play two truths and a lie. You need three truths. All right. So the motivational moment for the week. You cannot have a healthy relationship with people who are wearing masks. And I'm not talking about COVID-19 masks. I mean, not showing their full self, not being honest. Trust your gut, ask the hard questions, and have enough self-respect to leave those who deceive you. Until we meet again.
Pray, work, slay.
And show off your melanated excellence. Bye.
Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is produced by Nicole Lee Plenty and Janine Brunson Johnson. Executive producer, Ken Johnson. Get the Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversation podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or where you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and rate us. You can follow Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations on IG at Oh, That's Deep, BWC. Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is a Mean Old Lion Media production.